in the Firehouse, especially in New York City, the kitchen and cooking is probably the biggest part of Firehouse culture.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you're not eating what the guys are eating, it's just kind of, you know, it just has a negative connotation to it among the guys. And, you know, trying to adapt that. And then, you know, if they make something and I have to bring in my own or modify it, it becomes a little stressful, a little tense. Yeah.
So at Firehouses, we love to share meals with each other. It's very familial. That's where a lot of the bonds are really forged in the kitchen and on the fire scene. In Austin, Texas, the shared meal is called a Wagon, and it's like, hey, are you in on the Wagon or not? Back when we went Plant Strong at Fire Station 2, it was a Plant Strong Wagon, and that was one of the beautiful things about it, is that we would trade off who would shop for that night's dinner, lunch, breakfast, and then to make it easy, the preparation, you know the saying, many hands make for light work. We would all dive in, we'd chop, we'd cut, we'd prep, and we'd make this amazing dinner. We would have a contest to see who could make the best, fantastic dinner at the most economical price. We got it down to, you know, for $12, we could feed 5 firefighters with leftovers and make a sensational meal. So one of the issues that Joe is having at his Firehouse is that he is a standalone Plant Strong guy. So he can't do a Wagon with the other 4 guys at the station. So he's kind of the odd man standing. So we got to get a quorum, and then we can get these guys to have a shared Plant Strong Wagon.
One of the things that I found in my Firehouse is guys tend to be a little open to it. I tell them, pick up whatever you want. I'll pull my vegetables aside. I'll cook them the way I want. You know, when I pick up a meal for those guys, I cook what they want. I don't cook what I want, you know, or if they decide they want steak, I'll make my meal as the 2 sides, and they'll eat my food as the sides, and they'll eat their steak with it. So I'm kind of compromising in that aspect, you know what I mean? If sometimes they pick up a meal that I can't have, I try and make sure I prep or bring stuff with me so that I can try and succeed this time around.
So you bring your own food, and then you're also paying them the $15 to...
Yeah, whatever the meal costs. Sure. Last night, I had my own food with me. They made a beef stew, and they put it over brown rice. I said, just don't put oil in the brown rice. I'll have the brown rice. But I paid $14 last night,
right,
just to have the brown rice. And I put what I brought in on the top of it. So then I paid for whatever it cost me to prep.
And they had no problem taking your $14.
They had no problem with it.
No qualms. They weren't like, oh man, Joe, nah, just give us $2.
The thing is, like, if I try and, you know, I've been to work where the guys are like, no, you didn't even eat it. Like, all you ate was the brown rice, so don't worry about it. I'm not going to pay you right now. And then the next time I come into work, everybody's going to be like, oh, you know, you're not eating, you're not paying, you know. Yeah. No, it's easier. Let me just give you the $14, and it saves me the aggravation, you know, of words starting to spread.
Yeah.
$14 is a small price to pay for my health.
I completely agree.
I'm Rip Esselstyn. I am the founder of Engine 2, and I am going to be working with Joe Inga. He's an amazing firefighter, father. He's just a really amazing human being, and we're going to go on an amazing journey and witness Joe transform before our very eyes from somebody whose health has spiraled out of control to somebody that is going to take back his health. And what I've done in order to take Joe on this journey is I've marshaled together some of the most amazing doctors, inspirational leaders to help work with Joe and possibly yourself. Listen in as Joe is absolutely transformed from a couch potato to a veritable sweet potato triathlete in less than 6 months. Episode after episode, Joe gains momentum and confidence and all the tools and tricks to what it means to become a plant strong man. I can't wait to have you listen in on this journey. Welcome to Plant Strong.
So here's the ironic thing. On the surface, these firefighters think, oh my gosh, plant-based, Plant Strong. I mean, I'm going to be eating a bunch of twigs and berries. This is like excruciating. But the reality is, and what we did at Fire Station 2, is we just took Firehouse favorites like burgers and fajitas and pizza, and we just Plant Strongified them. And so it's easy to make a black bean, brown rice, jalapeno burger with all the fixings. It's fantastic to make a cheeseless whole grain pizza crust with all the amazing veggie toppings you want, from sun-dried tomatoes, grilled corn, sauteed onions, portobello mushrooms, and the like. You can do that on and on and on with everything. So it's easy to make Plant Strong meals, delicious, firefighter friendly, and I learned from the master, and that's my mom, going back to 1984. She is like, my mom is in her mid 80s. She is like the Energizer Bunny. She does not stop, no joke. She is on 0 medications. She is vibrant, she's alert, she is mentally absolutely as sharp as a tack. And every day she's doing something, some sort of movement for at least an hour, whether it's a CrossFit class at the Y, whether it's going for a swim, whether it's going cross-country skiing at the metro parks, going for a jog. She gets after it like nobody's business. She is, I mean, I want to be like my mom when I'm in my 80s. That's what I aspire to. We're in Cleveland, around the Lazy Susan table at the house where I grew up, just outside of Cleveland, Ohio. And I'm here with my amazing force of nature, Mother Ann Crile Esselstyn. I love that you're here on the podcast. Thank you, Ann.
Thank you, Rip.
Yes, my pleasure. So you have been in lockstep with Daddy since he started this in 1984. You've been by his side. You have been his most, avid supporter. You've been so incredibly loyal. You have come up with all these amazing recipes, many of which are in Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease, the follow-up book, the Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease cookbook. You've contributed many recipes to all the Engine 2 books.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have.
Especially when you started.
I know. So one of the things that is, to me, I find to be so just charming and enamoring about you is your unbridled enthusiasm. And I could come home, like I was home a couple weeks ago, and you said, Rep, you have to try these fava beans. I've never had a fava bean in my life, right? I mean, I was it Anthony Hopkins goes, fava beans, right? And that, what is it? Silence of the Lambs. So what are you most excited about?
Right now, fava beans, because sometimes they can be like a foot long. And what's crazy is that there are little beans in them, but you can eat the whole pod. So you just put this big, long green thing that's kind of like a skinny green corn on the cob, and just cook it up, and you can eat it all.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And my other new thing is Jerusalem artichokes. And you just slice them up and bake them. Now, every other time I burn them, but I even have gotten to like them burned. And it's just when you find something new that's good, it is so exciting. Mm-hmm. And then, I must say, we are in a rut of loving rice and beans with the easiest meal for anybody who's starting out. Don't get fancy.
Yep.
Cook your rice. Find a way to do that. A rice cooker's great. Get a can of beans, rinse them under hot water. They go on top of the rice, and then just rinse some frozen corn. That goes on top. Chop some tomatoes and some mango, And it's delicious. And if you're not worried about heart disease, have some guacamole or have some salsa. It's such a simple, quick meal. It's our favorite. What I like now is so different than what I used to like, and I think what
So can you give me an example of something that you used to like that now you can't stand, and now something that you like that you maybe
Well, I
like?
grew up thinking that like vinegar was something you made Easter eggs with.
Right.
And now it's something that is my go-to on anything that needs a little more taste. But also, I've lost my interest in taste and salt. I can't eat salty things at all. I mean, I love all the leafy greens. I didn't grow up eating all that. We did not even know about the existence of mangoes until our youngest son, Zeb, came back from after he graduated from college. He went around the world, and he came back and introduced us to mangoes. And ever since, mango is the thing that makes a meal good.
Absolutely. This is a common occurrence as you get used to a plant-strong diet. Joe noticed it too. For example, when I was growing up, the only vegetables that I liked, and this is no joke, were peas and corn, period. That was it. And now I love green leafy vegetables. I love certain types of mushrooms. I love bell peppers. I love squash. I really just don't like eggplant. But otherwise, it's amazing how your taste buds, they change. They become more sophisticated. And now you go to crave these nutrient powerhouse foods.
One of the meals I made the other day that I made at home, I made a big batch of it, is like a stovetop mac and cheese that was made with, it was made with potatoes, nutritional yeast, carrots, onions, garlic, and you kind of blend it all together and you pour that over like a whole wheat pasta, and it was unbelievable. And my wife, she liked it, but she's like, I wouldn't crave it. And I said, well, the difference is my palate is changing.
Yeah.
And yours isn't. So you still love your cheese. I'm starting to get used to this. I'm starting to enjoy this. So it's different. And, that was getting started. That's one of the hard things too, is like, you're saying broccoli and quinoa and all this other stuff. And a lot of people are probably, I don't like that. And I know guys in the Firehouse are the same way. Like, vegetables, like green stuff, like, no, I'm good, meat and potatoes, whatever. So like people don't realize, but when you mix these flavors together, or when you get on this diet, it takes at least a week. I want to say at least a week before you really start to taste and enjoy it. But once your palate starts to change, like they made yesterday for lunch, they made my hands down favorite meal in the Firehouse.
What's that? And
it's pasta, but it's got sausage and broccoli rabe mixed in with a chicken broth. And my favorite meal in the Firehouse.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, look, sausage, kind of taunting me with it. I honestly had no desire to even try it, or maybe I'll just take it. I had no desire for that. I just know how I've been feeling and how things have been going. And I'm not willing to give it up.
Yeah, good for you. Here's the thing. To get to that point, you need to set yourself up for success. And that starts with what tools you have in your kitchen. If you had to come up with 5 kitchen essentials that every kitchen needs to have in order to make this plant-based lifestyle easier and run smoother, what would those 5 things be?
There are lots of fancy things that people love, but if you're just starting out and you don't want to spend money, I would say one of the things that I really like is this, it's TEVOLO, and it's this like little spatula thing. And I don't use any other thing to stir. It's the tool I use. Now, that is one thing that to me is essential. I also think that it is helpful to have a rice cooker, not necessary. You can cook rice or any of the grains just in a pan. One thing that is nice to have is a good wok. And I happen to, it was a Christmas present from my husband, and they're expensive, but it's a really good wok so I can burn things and it doesn't wreck the pan because I burn everything. But I love cooking all my greens in this wok. And so the greens are great cooked in that. For anybody starting, I would say find some kind of food processor,
Right.
because that is vital.
Yeah. One of the things we use the Vitamix for is I love putting oats in there, making oat flour in the span of 30 seconds, and then using that for pancakes, waffles.
And Jane does that, but
Yep.
I just buy the oat flour.
No, I get it. I get it. So I want to go through some fruits and vegetables and whole grains and beans, and I want you to pick your favorite. All right, just try it. So fruit. What's your favorite fruit?
Raspberries.
Raspberries.
Love, and blueberries. My latest thing. Oh my God, I forgot to tell you my latest favorite thing.
I knew there'd be something.
Frozen cherries. They are so sweet. And I have made this sort of pie-like thing where I put frozen blueberries, frozen cherries in, and then put kind of a little bit of oat flour made from the bag, and vanilla and oat milk and a little vanilla, and put a sort of a bit of that on the top and bake this, and it's this absolutely amazing kind of dessert with a little I love to have on it some tofu that I've put a little maple syrup and lime in, or lemon, and put those two together. It's great dessert. But the cherries are my latest favorite thing. And even when you finished a meal and you want something sweet, just get a few of those cherries, even plain frozen, or else sort of thaw them and eat them. They're wonderful.
Now, I've become a big fan of the dark cherries. The frozen dark cherries, and I put them in my cereal bowl.
Oh, I bet that's good.
In the morning, and they're heavenly. So, raspberries, dark cherries, of course, the mango.
Yeah, mango.
You always gotta love the mango. What about your favorite potato? What's your favorite type of potato right now? And how often would you say you have potatoes every week?
We have sweet potatoes. We have a lot of sweet potatoes in things. And my favorite thing is something we had last night when you, Rip, came home, is my favorite thing. And this is my special thing for guests, and I'll tell you about it because it is amazing.
We loved it.
I take Yukon Gold potatoes and bake them, plus one very large Japanese sweet potato. They're white inside, so when you mix them with the regular potatoes, it looks like it's just white potatoes, but it's half sweet potatoes. And then along with that, I bake a couple of onions and some garlic, and I put that in my Cuisinart and use that as the liquid for mixing the potatoes up. And then I add some, per potato, about a tablespoon of nutritional yeast and pepper, and restuff that little mixture into the skins. That's my new favorite thing.
Is that in any cookbooks?
No, I'm saving it. I'm only telling you here.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
That will be our little secret. The neat thing is Joe has already discovered some of his favorite recipes and foods too. What are some of the meals that you've been having? So for example, what did you have before you came over here this morning?
I made my own pre-prepared Rip's Big Bowl. I went out when I started the diet. I picked out my different cereals and I pre-mixed them into Ziploc bags so I can, on the go, I could just grab them and take my almond milk and just have my cereal. Last night, while I was at work, I made the frozen banana ice cream with blueberries and strawberries. It was a big hit. So little by little.
Big hit meaning they also
liked it. Yeah, they liked it too. I do a lot of kind of just stir-fried mixed vegetables, but with vegetable broth, low sodium vegetable broth, no oil.
Fantastic. If there was one breakfast that you had to have for the rest of your life, what would it be, and you would not get sick of it?
Well, I have gone through all sort of breakfast stages. And I didn't eat breakfast a lot. I did eat breakfast. I ate whatever. And now I just think, I can't believe that people eat a piece of toast I feel that it's so important that what you eat is going to be powerful for you. So I've got a really great breakfast now, and I feel bad if I miss it. And it's half a cup of steel-cut oats, 2 tablespoons of shiitake mushrooms, 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, a teaspoon of sriracha hot sauce. You don't even notice it. About a fourth to a half teaspoon of turmeric, which is really a powerful against inflammation. And then about half a cup of shiitake mushrooms. I buy them already sort of chopped up, and I freeze them, and then I just get a little bit out and put them in. And then this is the best, and that is to put in about 2 cups of kale chopped, and I strip it and then chop it up. And I cook it for about 10 minutes. And I know most people think you've got to cook steel-cut oats forever, but I don't. And I don't like oatmeal because it's too mushy, and this I can chew. So it's great. It's my
to me,
best breakfast.
You have been a fan of this breakfast now, it seems like, for 3 years.
Yeah. And I feel like for everybody, I feel you need to find a breakfast you like and then just eat it every day. You do that, Rip.
I do.
My husband does that.
Yep.
And so it's, I think then you're not fooling around with junk, and you're eating what's powerful.
No, I tell people that breakfast bowl that I have every morning has been really the linchpin of my success for 30-something years. And there's no effort. It's just super simple. I love it. Yeah. So do you know if it's in any of the books, either the Engine 2 cookbook or Prevent vs. Heart Disease cookbook, or one of the cookbooks that's out there?
It's in the Engine 2 cookbook, just as I described it.
Perfect. Okay. Awesome. What about lunch? What's your go-to favorite lunch?
Well, we try and have soup just because it's easy, but I always have at least, say, a head of kale, a whole bunch of Swiss chard in any soup that we eat, and we may add extra. And so then that's kind of what lunch is.
Uh-huh. What about dinner?
Dinner's different all the time. We don't have, except rice and beans is frequent.
Yeah.
I'm always trying new things. Some of them are good, some of them are not so good.
What advice would you give to people that are out there, they're trying to embrace this lifestyle, and they have a failure of a recipe?
When you make something, you tend to like it. I must say, since I'm not really a chef, in doing the first book with my husband, I said I would do the recipes, and so then I would think, no, okay, we've got to have, say, a carrot cake. Well, I wasn't a baker. So I would make carrot cakes with the ingredients that I thought were good, and it would rise. It would be half an inch high. It would taste okay, but it wouldn't look right. But then, we liked it. Because you've made it and you like it. And then finally I figured, all right, about this carrot cake. I'm going to rename this, and I'm going to call it a carrot cookie cake. So then it's okay that it looks like a cookie, but it's really a cake. And you just change. Your attitude changes, and you got to try it. You've got to keep trying it, and you're going to be so surprised how you feel, and new things are going to be fine.
Is there a certain period of time that you would tell people to be patient, because this is how long it typically takes for your taste buds to change, and to where this food is now going to taste delicious?
I think a whole lot, and this is really what I've learned, is it depends on the person's attitude. If they are going into this because they're not feeling well and they start to feel better, that helps. If they're fighting it the whole way, they're going to, I'm missing my meat, they're going to miss their meat. But attitude is it.
In the Firehouse, it's kind of like high school. So one of the meals that I made a while ago was I made the sweet potato lasagna. Yeah. It was my favorite dish.
Labor of love.
I love it, though. So I made that at the Firehouse, but I made that as the side to a bourbon chicken that I made. But thing that circulated was, Inga made a vegan meal for the guys at the Firehouse. No. I made that as the side. You guys had your bourbon chicken. Mm-hmm. But, that's how it is.
Mm-hmm. And they call you Inga?
Yeah. Everybody goes by last names in the fire department. Right. So,
yeah. You know what? I want to talk meal planner with you. This week I've been thinking a fair amount about meals and how the real success of my living Plant Strong has always been in planning ahead. At least that's when I'm always typically like on my game. And I've been on my game now for close to 32 years and counting. And the cool thing is that the ideas for meals they're automatic. But the habits that are ingrained in me and the arsenal of recipes that my family enjoys they're rock solid. And for people who are new to this lifestyle, it can take a lot of effort, like no joke. And to build these habits and the confidence that sets you up for success, this is where the meal planner comes right into play. And it's why we built the meal planner, because we know if you fail to prepare, you're preparing to fail. And the meal planner works because it has this AI intelligence where it recommends recipes that are personalized to you and your household. And it's based upon your preferences, from the amount of time you want to spend in the kitchen, to any potential allergens you have, to your likes, dislikes, and the whole motivation of the meal planner is to inspire you. The recipes can be adjusted to feed your family and then also to provide leftovers, which is really smart. And here's the super cool thing about it is they sync with a grocery list, and then the trickiest thing of all, they can be sent home with delivery from one of our partners. So we like that. And we want to make it easy to live your best Plant Strong life. It's about $1.90 a week when you sign up for the annual plan. And with the code Plant Strong, you can save $10. So visit engine2.com today and check out the meal planner. Tell us some quick hacks that you use to incorporate greens into every day.
Let me tell you what, the best.
Yeah.
Get the Engine 2 pizza crust. And then get the Engine 2 pasta sauce. And then buy a whole head of kale, any kind. Strip it, cut it into bite-sized pieces, cook it, mix it with half a jar of the pasta sauce, and then spread that as the first layer on your pizza. And then you can add anything else you want, whatever your choice. And then after that's all cooked and pulled out of the oven, put salad on top of it, and then a sprinkle of balsamic vinegar. And you have something stunning.
Well, Ann, thank you. I love you to the moon and back, and look forward to great things in the future.
Bye.
My mother's recipes inspired me to make the switch to being plant-based, and many of them are still like mainstays in my diet today. And they've helped Joe too. He's even got some tips of his own for sticking to it and making delicious food.
I think I've done this a bunch of times, so and I consider myself to be a very good cook. I'm learning how to cook in a different way now, but I love to cook. So one of the things, like going into it this time, I was already a little bit familiar with what to eat, what not to eat, and how to cook it. But a lot of my previous times was very simple stuff. It was always my home oatmeal or a homemade Ribs Big Bowl, and then for breakfast, lunch would be a salad, and dinner would be something over some kind of grain. So it'd be like beans and vegetables over a grain. And it was the same thing every day. So it kind of got a little redundant. This time around, I took it upon myself to spend a little extra money getting started, and I went to the store. We have one health food store. It's quite a distance from my house, but I went there and I bought the plastic containers, and I bought bulgur wheat. I bought brown rice. I bought, different kinds of rice, different kinds of grains, different kinds of dried beans. And I went through my cabinets, I cleaned out my cabinets, and I built my cabinets to this diet. And I started to pre-prepare my cereals. So one of the hardest things, especially with being on the go, and sometimes like I get off of work, here I am, I drove, to Brooklyn for the interview, and I'm not going to get home till whenever I get home. I brought my lunchbox with me. So the hard thing is trying to prepare for when you're on the go. So I pre-prepared my dried bananas and stuff and all these little baggies. So if I'm on my way out the door, I could grab a baggie and I have snacks. I have something with me, that I can eat. I ran into a big situation on Saturday that my kids were hungry. My 5-year-old was sick. So we called the doctor and they said, can you be out here in an hour? It's a 45-minute drive. So I grabbed him and the 21-month-old, we got in the car and we left. I didn't get a chance to eat breakfast and I didn't grab my snacks. Mm-hmm. I was starving. The kids were hungry. So I said, you know what? We got to go to Walmart. Let me hit up Applebee's, whatever, hit up a restaurant. So we hit up a restaurant and I'm asking on the menu, I'm looking on the menu. There was literally nothing for me to eat. I couldn't even strip down some things to be able to eat it. So my kid sat there and ate. And I went till 4:00 without eating. So one of the biggest things that I learned is pre-preparing my cabinet so that I don't have to go shopping that much. And if I do, I only have to go once every couple of days and grab a cucumber, a pepper, a whatever. And I prepare in bulk. So I always prepare extra. So I'm not preparing for me. I'm preparing for 3 or 4 people so that I have 3 or 4 extra meals sitting in the fridge. So that if I do get busy, if I do get called into work, if I am on the go, if I am on the road, I could just grab a Tupperware out of the fridge, stick it in a lunchbox and bring it with me. And that's one of the reasons why I think I've been so successful this time around and it's been so easy for me is because I'm thinking ahead. I'm not thinking for today. I'm thinking for today, tomorrow, and, Friday. So I'm pre-preparing. When I make rice, I'm not making a little serving of rice for one meal. I'm making extra rice so I have it in the fridge. Then I could take, a soup, a diet-friendly soup, and I could pour that over the rice and I got a meal. So I think that's one of the biggest things was making sure my cabinet was ready, preparing my snacks ahead of time, and making sure that I always have extra so that I can always grab and go.
I love it. Those are very smart systems that you put into place that are working for you, especially when you're busy. You got young kids. You're out and about. And what are you doing when you're not at the Firehouse? I'm
usually at home taking care of my 5-year-old after school. Yeah. My wife works. Or I'm drawing. I'm also an artist as well. But like I said, I love to cook. So once every couple of days, I actually look forward to this because then I get to try new recipes. I get to try and cook, and I get to pre-prepare all this. And then I guinea pig my family. You know? And I made lentil sloppy joes the other day. And
delicious.
My wife was like, this is unbelievable. I was like,
what kind of lentils did you use? Red lentils?
I did a mix of red and green. So I mixed them both. And then I did the pepper and onion, and then the barbecue sauce and tomato sauce I made separate. I didn't buy the pre-canned stuff. Which that's another thing is I become a ninja at reading labels. But price shopping a lot of things too. If you buy sloppy joe sauce and you look at the ingredients and you look at the stuff on that, and then you go and you buy the friendly barbecue sauce and tomato sauce and you add them together, the sloppy joe sauce is not just more expensive, but it's got more of everything, the sodium and all that stuff in it. So I'm starting to learn, save money. Because one of the big things with people with this diet, and one of the things I was nervous about is it's so expensive. It's so expensive. No matter where you go, I went to the supermarket. I said, I don't need a whole bunch of kale. The person told me to buy the pound. Take what you need. You don't need to buy the whole wrapped bunch. Break a couple of leaves off if you want. And I was like, oh, okay. So there's little things, and you're not buying. You don't buy for a whole week either. You go every couple of days. You pick up a couple of things and you cook for a couple of days. You just always cook extra, so you always have extra. You're figuring it out. I mean, you are totally kicking some major butt here. The best thing about this diet, at least the way I feel about it, is I could eat as much of it as I want. So I have now, because I am making my vegetables as the sides with the meal that the guys are making in the Firehouse, and I have my pre-prepared. Now I have a snack for 4 o'clock in the afternoon to carry me over until we eat dinner at 8, 9 o'clock. You know, so I'm just trying to stay ahead of everything. I know that this works for me. I know how it's worked in the past, and I know how I felt when I was on it. So this is what I want to do, and I'm going to do it for my own reasons.
I'm Rip Esselstyn, and I want to thank you for listening. My hope is that this podcast has inspired you to take control of your health through a Plan Strong lifestyle. I also want to thank my co-creator of the podcast, Scott Battishill with 10% Media, Lori Kordowich, my producer extraordinaire and Engine 2 director of events, Tina Knoll and Large Media for podcast production and creative direction, and Brandon Curtis for never minding living in the barrel and everything in between. Thanks for Whole Foods Market for giving me a platform for the last decade. Special thanks to Joe Inga for your courage to take control and change your life, and for allowing us to share your story along the way. And lastly, I want to thank my father and mother, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn Jr. and Ann Crile Esselstyn, and all the Plan Strong pioneers who have been pushing this boulder uphill for more than 3 decades. As they say, we're standing on the shoulder of giants. If you're digging the podcast, I want you to rate us. I want you to review the show, and I want you to spread this message with friends and family. We want to get this message out to as many people as possible. Join us on all of our social channels, either on Engine 2 or Rip Esselstyn, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Until next time, peace, Engine 2, and keep it Plan Strong.